welcome back to Amanda's Bookish Adventures. Today is day 7 of Bookmas, and I wanted to talk about some romance books that I've read throughout the year. I have some physical copies, some I have checked out from the library that I no longer have available to show you. So I will tell you the book, the rating, and what it's about. So Xoxo, 5 stars. It's a romance contemporary. It is YA, and I loved it. So it is about a cello progeny. Jenny has one goal: to get into a prestigious music conservatory. When she meets a mysterious, handsome, I'm going to mess this name up, Jay Woo, in her uncle's Los Angeles karaoke bar. He is clear, he's the boy who can uproot her careful plans. So when I read this book, it was so good, and it reminded me of K-drama, and I loved it. I absolutely adored Jenny's story. So, at the beginning of the book, Jenny, it was even before the book, but she got the results from a cello competition. And she won, but they said, you have no feelings, no emotion in your music. Basically calling her a robot. So when she's in her karaoke bar, she wakes up Jae-woo and says, you can't be here, your time's run out. So in that first night, they meet, they go kind of all California, and then they go, I'm going to say it's a Korean festival, or maybe it was an Asian festival. I don't know. I think it was probably in Koreatown, so maybe a Korean. It's been a while since I've read it. So they go to this festival, they eat, and they have fun, and they have so much fun. They exchange numbers, they take pictures, and then Jae-woo picks up. Well, he flies back to South Korea, and she hasn't heard from him. And she's texted him. Basically, she gets an opportunity to go to South Korea, so she texts him, hey, I'm going to be in South Korea, let's meet up. She goes to a performance school, and because of the reason, I don't want to spoil it. So she goes to performance school in Korea, and there Jae-woo is, and she is so shocked to see him. And he basically acts like she doesn't exist when he's around other people. And it kind of hurts her feelings, and then they kind of figure it out. It was absolutely amazing. I adored it, and I gave it 5 stars, and I highly recommend it. Now That I Have Found You, I gave that 5 stars as well. All these ones that I'm going to be talking to you about are 5 stars. So, about searching for answers, love, and Gracie has been searching for answers, love, and eccentric grandma, probably messing this up, I wrote down the thing, in all the wrong places. Following in the footsteps of her uber famous grandma, Evie Jones is poised to be Hollywood's next big star. That is until a close friend's big betrayal leads her to be blacklisted. Her Gigi disappears, and it's up to Evie and Milo, a cute musician Evie is unsure to trust. So when I read Now That I Found You, I think it was in a vlog where I was talking about how upset I was that celebrities really have no trust. They can't trust people. You think you're really close friends, and for that person to get ahead or to get money, they'll sell tabloid stories. And that broke her trust. Milo's a cute person who is friends with her grandma, and he kind of stays with the grandma when he does shifts at work. He does have an apartment in the city in New York. Her grandmother was a famous actress, I'm going to say in the 50s. And there was a situation where she left Hollywood, and she doesn't talk to reporters or anything. So Evie goes there for her grandmother's help, and it's twists and turns. She disappears. Her and Milo are going all over New York City to find Evie, or her grandmother, Gigi. And I believe the grandma's name is Grace. I don't know. It's been a bit. But the chemistry between Milo and Gigi and the story, and it was so it was so amazing, and her not trusting, and her meeting Milo's friends and his band and everything else. It was absolutely amazing. There was one character in Milo's band. I can't even remember who he is now because it's been a while since I read it. Absolutely annoying. He thought he was going to be amazing. It was all about him. So I'm so glad that he was a side character and he wasn't the main romance interest. But Now That I Found You is a YA contemporary romance. Even though they're contemporaries, they're romances. But I kind of wished it was an adult romance. I would have loved to have seen how that book would have been as an adult romance. So I have another one written down. I got Honey Girl, which I'm going to buy a copy of next year. I gave that 5 stars. So Grace basically gets a PhD in astronomy, and she basically goes on this interview, and it really, really sucked. And so her and her friends go to Vegas for like a party weekend. She gets drunk. There is a woman there that they hit it off, they flirt. Well, she drunkenly married her. She wakes up with a note. I can't even remember because it's been so long, and the description does not have who she married's name in the description. She wakes up with a note, basically like a poem, a haiku from her wife, and she's like, no, I can't possibly have drunk and married someone. Not with her military father, who's super strict, who wants her to succeed. So her plans kind of derail, and she goes to I think her wife she has a radio show, and it's kind of about folklore and myth and stuff, and she listens to the radio, and she hears her talking about her on the radio, so she calls her wife up, and her wife, like, is so excited to talk to her, and it was super cute. I recommend Honey Girl, and I want to reread it, and I want to own my own physical copy. I adored that book, and even with all the struggles and everything else, that book was one of my highlights of the year. Sorry. Let's get the other list. It's over here. Then I read Written in the Stars, which another book that I want to own. So, and it is about astrology. Free-spirited social media astrologer who agrees to a fake relationship with an uptight actuary. This is New Year's Eve, with the results not even the stars could predict. Darcy and Ella Jones. So Darcy gets set up by her brother because Ella gets an opportunity because the brother does a dating app. So Ella works on like astrology and with the stars, who could you be more compatible with, I believe. So Darcy lies to her brother and says an amazing date. She doesn't want to disappoint him. So Ella agrees to fake date her because of her family situation, and it's the holidays. And so she agrees to date her because her family's uptight. They do not agree with what she's doing, her astrology business, even though she has a book coming out. She's working with a major dating app company. They don't agree, and they give her so much her parents and her siblings, they just dog on her, and it really upset me. And Darcy stands up for her, and it is cute, and it is a 5-star, absolutely adored. And then, unfortunately, I did not get to the third book in this romance trilogy, but I read Get a Life, Chloe Brown. That is a 5-star. So Chloe Brown is chronically ill, computer geek with a plan, and after almost but not quite dying, she comes up with 7 directives to help her get a life. And she's already completed the first, moving out of her glamorous family's mansion. The next item: enjoy a drunken night, ride a motorcycle, go camping, have a meaningful but meaningless and thoroughly enjoyable sex, travel the world with nothing but a hand luggage, and do something bad. But it's not easy being bad when you've written step-by-step guidelines on how to do it correctly. When Chloe needs a teacher, she knows just the man for the job. Red Morgan is a handyman with tattoos, a motorcycle, more sex appeal than 1,000 Hollywood heartthrobs. He's an artist who paints at night and hides his work in the light of day, which Chloe knows because she spies on him occasionally, just the teensy bit. So her and Red kind of strike up a deal to do the list, and it's their romance, and it's sweet. You meet Chloe's siblings in that book too, and their relationship with her parents and their grandmother, and how Red and his friend, and how his art, and how he had a situation where he was like an up-to-coming artist, and then he had a bad situation, so he became a handyman for an apartment building. That's how Chloe and him know each other, and he still painted in the day. Their romance was super sweet, and it was 5-star. I love the plus size rep. The chronic illness I loved, but my favorite, that I've read. I haven't read Eve Jones yet. The other one was Take a Hint, Dani Brown. I loved Dani Brown. So her name is Danica Brown, knows what she wants: professional success, academia renown, and an occasional roll in the hay to relieve an all career-driven tension. A romance, been there, done that. Buried t-shirt, romantic partners, whatever their gender, are distracting at best and a drain at worst. So Dani asks the universe for the perfect friend with benefits, someone who knows the score and knows the way around the bedroom. When the big, brooding security guard, I'm going to mess this name up, Zeffy, I'm going to just call him Zeffy, rescues Dani from a workplace fire drill gone wrong, it's an obvious sign. PhD student Dani and a former rugby player, Zaf, that's his nickname, are destined to sleep together. But before she can explain the fact to him, a video of the heroic rescue goes viral. Suddenly, half the internet is shipping Dr. Rugby, and Zaf is begging Dani to play along. Turns out his sports charity for kids could really use publicity. For lying to help children, who on earth can refuse? Dani's plan is to fake a relationship in public, seduce Zaf behind the scenes. The trouble is, grumpy Zaf is a secret romantic, and he's determined to corrupt Dani's stone-cold realism. Their relationship was so funny, and the jokes, and they had a friendship, and like, he was the guard at her. I don't remember what she taught. She was getting her PhD, but she was a college professor at the same time, working on becoming a professor, a PhD. She was working on getting her PhD. Sorry. My brain is rambled. And he's the security guard, and she normally was late, or she'd skip breakfast to get there on time. He would give her like little breakfast bars or like protein bars. And they're like, he listens to audiobooks on romance, and Zaf has had tragedy in his past, his rugby career kind of gone wrong, and he's kind of getting back to step being the security guard, but his charity with the kids, teaching them rugby, is his passion. It's what he wants to do, and she's all willing to help him out with the situation, with the fake relationship, but the chemistry and the jokes, I love Dani. They are beautiful. Dani is beautiful. And so I would have to say, out of contemporary romance, that has been one of my favorites that I've read this year. I've read a bunch. I'm just talking about the ones that were like the top ones that I've read. And there is a couple fantasy, or at least, yeah, 2 fantasy romances on here. Unfortunately, I didn't get to the third one because someone's like, which one would be your third one? And I kind of wanted to do a video like, read the third one and then compare like which one, if I could only read one for the rest of my life, which one would it be? And I can't make that video until I read the third one. So hopefully I'm gonna read the next one next year. Now the cover alone in this book is beautiful, but I love this book. A Deal with the Elf King. Look at that cover. And even the pages like have little thorns and stuff. It is, I'm going to say a Hades and Persephone retelling. So the elves come for 2 things, war and wives. In both cases, they've come for death. 3,000 years ago, humans were hunted by powerful races with wild magic until a treaty was formed. Now for centuries, the elves have taken a young woman from Luella's village to be their human queen, to be chosen to be seen as a mark of death by the townsfolk. A mark 19-year-old Luella is grateful to have escaped. And as a girl instead, she has dedicated her life to studying herbology and becoming the town's only healer. That is until the Elf King unexpectedly arrives for her. Everything Luella has thought she's known about her life and herself was a lie. Taken to a land filled with wild magic, Luella is forced to be the new queen to a cold, blistering, handsome Elf King. Once there, she learns about a dying world that only she can save. The thing is about that, yes, the Elf King comes to marry the humans, but they don't have a relationship. They're only married in name. So they'll take on a lover to produce elven children. So she's like, I'm not understanding this. Like, why is this happening? Because normally for a human queen, they would have known their abilities early on. Her abilities were blocked, so she had no idea. And he comes to the village mad that they haven't found the human queen. They need the human queen to bring other seasons into the elven world. So I really enjoyed it. She irks him. She tries to change the policy. She doesn't want to stay there. She's like the only healer on her island. So she's like, I have to go back to my island. So she's trying to find a way out, trying to find a way to help them, and their romance and the relationship that develops between the both of them is absolutely amazing. It's been one of my favorite retellings of the year, but I am a big thing on retelling. But that I have 2 more to talk about, and then that will be it on romance. So I won an art copy of the X-Hex before, and I did it like its own separate vlog. So I'm going to read about the back. 9 years ago, Vivian Jones nursed her broken heart like any witch would. Vodka, weeping music, bubble bath, and a curse on her horrible ex-boyfriend. Sure, Vivi knows she shouldn't use magic this way, but with only an orchid hayride, scented candles on hand, she isn't worried it will cause him anything more than a bad hair day or 2. That is until Reese Penhollow, descendant of the town's ancestors, breaker of hearts and annoyingly just as gorgeous as he always was, returns to Grave Glens, Georgia. What would have been a quick trip to recharge the town's ley lines and make an appearance at the annual fall festival turns disastrously wrong. But with one calamity after another striking Reese, Vivi realizes her silly little ex-hex maybe not have been so harmless. So she met him like when she was like 19 or 20, and there was a situation and she broke up with him. I remember the situation, don't want to spoil it. Well, years later, he does come back for the fall festival and they meet, and she does realize her ex, the hex, she was messing around with her cousin. They didn't think they were doing anything. They were drinking. And the hex, like, haywires the whole town. It causes him trouble. Like, it affects almost getting him killed. So they go on a mission to unsolve the hex, and he's apologetic, like, oh, I didn't know this happened and I'm so sorry. Then you find out certain situations that happened between their ancestors and the town and other things. And it is a second chance romance, and I loved it. I love the cover. I want to buy a nice, because it got a little bent in the mail, I want to buy the book. I'm still going to keep the ARC, but I want to own a copy as well to support the author, Erin Sterling. It is a pseudonym. She's Rachel Hawkins, and she did, I'm going to say, paranormal books on witches, like a witch series. I don't know, but I think I'm going to definitely check them out next year. But that cover, I love illustrated covers. Now, my top romance of the year, and it is an indie romance, The Marionettes by Katie Wismer. And she is an author on YouTube, and I watched her vlogs when she was writing this book, and I adored it. Her second one comes out on December 7th, I think. So it might be coming out the day this video goes up. So Valerie Darkmoor's entire life has been building up to this moment. Her her start into the Marionettes, the prestigious league of witches sworn to serve vampires as one of the last remaining blood witches. Her spot is almost guaranteed, at least so she thought. The academy is full of sabotage, secrets, and tasks that begin, and Valerie is quickly to realize she has more than a spot on the line. Her survival seems just uncertain. The closer she gets to the final trial, the more she learns everything and everyone around her isn't quite what it seems. So it is a dark, I'm going to say, school setting. She does go to school to get the position and to protect the vampires. And in this society, the vampires are on top. Witches are second because they protect the vampires. Humans donate blood, so the vampires leave them alone, so they drink donated blood. There are werewolves, but they are the outsiders of society. We only got one glimpse, I think, from one of the scenes, but I think that might be bigger for storylines later in the series. But the ending of this book, I'm sitting there doing this 24-hour readathon. I read this book and one of my other books two other books that really have been absolutely surprising. But the vlog got deleted off of YouTube. I thought I was on another thing and I was half asleep and I deleted the video and I deleted the footage, so there is no recovering. But when I ended that, I was like, this didn't happen. You can't end the book like this. And I was like, I've been counting down the days for the sequel to be released. So I definitely recommend this book. And Valerie and her love interest, I don't want to kind of spoil it because it's very unique. It's been my top romance of this year that I've read. I know I'm reading some more romances in December, but still I'm doing pre-filming. I'm talking about the books, but I talk about the books when I wrap them up too. Like there will be like a mid-month wrap up and a wrap up. So the books do get talked about even if they're not going to be in these videos. Other stuff that I have read will be talked about in my wrap ups. So I'm loving this. And I actually almost want to reread it because it might be a bit before I can get the sequel. So I plan on rereading it and getting the sequel and reading them back to back and reading that ending again on camera. I can't wait. She's doing NaNoWriMo. I can't say it. My dyslexia. She is doing National Write a Book in 1 month in November. And she's writing the third one. And I'm like, I haven't even cut to the second one, but I'm so excited that she just keeps writing this series. I'm so excited to see where it goes. Well, those have been some of my top romance books that I have read in 2020. What was some of your top romances? Is there a book you want to recommend to me down below? Let me know. Please like, please subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.